Hi. So I wanted to talk about two things today, which I think a lot of people struggle with when they're starting out in their illustration careers. So one is fear of failure, and the other is perfectionism. So I haven't made a video for I think about half a year, but one of the things I mentioned in the last video was that I was starting to think about making a children's book, and I kind of got stuck with it, and I think there are a few reasons for this, and one of them, well, the two main ones were exactly what I just said, so perfectionism and sort of fear of failure. And I think that for me, getting over perfectionism has been very difficult. So I would do a lot of drawing, like I don't know, character designs, or try and think of backgrounds or settings and things like that, and then I would just think, oh, that's no good, and scrap it. And getting over that has been kind of difficult for me, but one thing that's helped me recently is that I saved up some money and got an iPad. I identify mostly as an analogue illustrator, like I enjoy painting and drawing by hand, but I think that illustration is a sort of mixed media kind of subject. I mean, most people that I'm aware of, at least, maybe draw some elements by hand, some on the computer, combine them, maybe in Photoshop, or perhaps they create different elements, maybe in Illustrator as well, and sort of combine them all. And most people, I think, really do edit their drawings on the computer to some extent. So I sort of decided to embrace that, and I saved up and bought myself an iPad and put Procreate on it. And I found actually that this has been really liberating, because I can edit as much as I want. So I tend to use it now for the preliminary stage of drawings, where I will sketch on the iPad and then print out whatever I make, and then, not always, sometimes I'll carry on with the drawing within Procreate, but often I'll print it out and then sort of draw over the sketch which I've made on a separate sheet of paper using a lightbox, which is actually a technique which I'm stealing from Quentin Blake. So I remember I saw an interview with him where he talked about doing loose sketches and then on a sheet of paper on top, sketching over using a lightbox, and it wasn't expensive. It was about 4,000 yen in Japan, so about, I don't know, about £30 or so in the UK maybe. And I've actually found it a really valuable way of working, because it meant that I could free up the first sketches and sort of get something done, and then paint or draw by hand over it, which I enjoy. So that's been helping a lot, especially for the children's book, because I've been able to do some character designs like very quickly and sort of loosely on the iPad, and then kind of transfer those to paper for when I want to be more sort of when I feel happy with the way that the drawing is going. Obviously you don't need an iPad to do this, but I think the point is just to try, even if you feel it's rubbish, maybe push through to the end of the drawing, or instead of rubbing something out or scrapping it straight away, perhaps just see where you can take it, or even if you do scrap it, maybe consider what you think went wrong, or your view of the drawing might be kind of skewed, so maybe it's good to get somebody else who's impartial to look at it and tell you what they think might be, what you could do better, or perhaps just to tell you that they like it and actually that it's okay. Because I feel that often we get very in our heads about our work, and we think, oh, this isn't good, like it's so much worse than other people's work. But it's not always true. So this ties into the second point, which is perfectionism. Obviously perfectionism is great in little doses, because it makes you be good at what you do, or it makes you try hard. But when it becomes kind of negative, and you end up comparing yourself to other artists who you think are better than you or are further along with their careers than you are, it can become very negative indeed, because it sort of creates this kind of stasis where you can't move forward, but you're also intensely dissatisfied with the quality of your own work. So I think getting over perfectionism, this has been very, very tough for me, and it's still an ongoing kind of struggle, I guess. But to loosen up, just say, okay, I'm going to just sketch 20 minutes. Doesn't matter what I draw, maybe, the cup on the desk in front of me or whatever I can see out the window, just do it. Doesn't matter if it's rubbish, or if you think it's rubbish, it may not be, but just go with it. I think also for me, toning down use of Instagram is a big one, because obviously I think as artists and freelancers we want to promote our work, and the obvious way to do it is social media, but it can be pretty detrimental to the development of your own style and to, I think, your confidence also if you use it too often, because you can see all of these amazing artworks, but you end up sort of comparing your own work to them or being influenced by them, and I think that that's not helpful at all. So the last sort of few months, I mean, this is an old sketchbook I had, but this was it's embarrassing to show really, but this was some of the sketches that I did when I was just trying to sort of get over this block. So there's an awful lot of just scribbling going on here. They're very disjointed. I don't know why. We've got, pigs running around the bottom here. There's some scribbly sort of disembodied girl characters. I've got this random sketch of a sort of, I don't know, a horse and a girl, and you can see I scribbled over it basically. It looks a bit like hills, but I think it was actually scribbling. And then I think on the next page I sort of became a little bit more contained with it, but it's still not really going in any specific direction. And this was all in the space of about, within an hour, just, scribbling and trying to sort of produce something which I felt I liked. And that came on this page, so there's a lot of disjointed sketches. I don't even know what's going on up here. But I liked this little sketch of the girl and her dog. And so I coloured that in, and I'm going to think about it for maybe another drawing later. Another example is I was thinking about what I'd seen during the day, and this sketch kind of came to me. So it was a group of people selling Japanese sake on the streets, and just people, looking at their stall, and I just tried to sort of capture what I remembered of that scene. I probably won't use this for anything, but I think the point is that I sketched what was coming to my mind freely without trying to use reference images or without it trying to be, the work which I am known for. I mean, it's just like a free drawing, and I think it helps me to sort of feel more creative, I guess. So I think that while these drawings obviously won't lead anywhere specific, it all helps me just to keep things ticking over in my mind. And I think embracing the freedom of just drawing or just creating something, even if it's not necessarily tied to a project, has been helpful for me getting over this kind of perfectionism problem. So I'll talk more in a later video about where I'm going with the book, which is still happening. I've been doing some sketches for it, and I will hopefully have a dummy book ready by January 2019. So thanks very much for watching, and good luck with your own creative projects, whatever they may be. Bye!